We are on chapter 1, Mishnah 5 of Pirkei Avot, and it goes like this. So, just as a quick introduction, since we're on Mishnah 5, Mishnah 4 introduced the first of the two Zugot, Yossi ben Yoezer and Yossi ben Yochanan. So now we'll be moving on to Yossi ben Yochanan. So it says like this. Yossi ben Yochanan ish Yerushalayim Omer. Yehi bitcha petuach lirvacha, v'yehiyu anim b'nei vetecha, v'al tarbeh sicha im ha'isha. So we'll just go with Safaria's translation for now. Yossi ben Yochanan, a man of Jerusalem, used to say, "Let thy house be wide open, and let the poor be members of thy household. Engage not in too much conversation with women." Be'ishto amru kal v'chomer be'eshet chavero. They said this with regards to one's own wife. How much more so does this rule apply with regard to another man's wife? Mikan amru chachamim kol zman she'adam marbeh sicha im ha'isha gorem ra'a le'atzmo uvotel midivrei Torah v'sofo yoresh gehinom. Right, from here the sages said, as long as a man engages in too much conversation with women, he causes evil to himself, he neglects the study of the Torah, and in the end he will inherit Gehinnom. What I would like to focus on is that very first exhortation. The commentary we'll be citing today is called the Yein Levanon. Very interesting work. Its author is Naftali Hertz Wesley. He lived in Germany, and he was an early maskil. He was part of the early Haskalah movement in Germany, which I'll just read by way of explaining. So I found this on Safaria, and so the way Safaria explains the Yein Levanon is as follows. It's an important commentary on Pirkei Avot that was hailed by many rabbis as well worthy of study for its profundity and ethical content, in spite of the ideological controversy surrounding its author. I'm currently reading up a bit about him. I messaged one of my rabbi friends, and he sent me a 17-page article, so I'll be certainly looking that up. But for now, Yein Levanon, and let's see what he says. Very interesting. So first, he explains as a general introduction to this Mishnah that this is actually just this is an elaboration of Shimon HaTzadik's principle. Namely, Shimon HaTzadik in Mishnah 2 said, "Al shlosha hadvarim olam omed, al Torah, vel avoda, vel gemilut chasadim." Right, on Torah, on avoda, and gemilut chasadim. Those are the things that the world stands upon. And the way the Yein Levanon, and this is not unique, the way Yein Levanon explains is actually the Mishnayot that come after that are actually an elaboration of Shimon HaTzadik's principle. That is to say, we have Torah, we have avoda, and we have gemilut chasadim. Antigonos Ish Socho, right, the first to speak, that's the third Mishnah of Pirkei Avot, he speaks about avoda, namely, do not do it for a price. You're not looking for a reward, you're not looking for a benefit, a bonus, any extra incentive, it's just purely from Yira and Ahava. And moreover, he says, Vihi Morashamayim Aleichem, says the Yein Levanon, because a person who doesn't have any Yira Shamayim, there's room for serious trouble, as reason and experience bear out, unfortunately. So that's Antigonos. That's the avoda prong. How about Torah? Well, that's Yossi ben Yoezer. So what does he do? He speaks about Torah, right? Right? You should drink Torah thirstily. That's how one acquires the crown of Torah. That's what that Mishnah is speaking about. It's having a love for Torah, a thirst for it, being surrounded by Talmidei Chachamim, and learning from them eagerly. Okay, so that's Torah. Well, what's the last one? Gemilut chasadim, and that's what Yossi ben Yochanan is going to teach us. So how does he explain that? So he says, not only were those individual Mishnahs broken down by Torah, Avoda, and Gemilut chasadim, but even the three prongs within each Mishnah spoke about it, at least with regards to ours, and with regards to Mishnah 4. Now what does he mean? He says, just like we see Yehi Beitcha Petuach Lirvacha is related directly to Chesed, so too in the earlier Mishnah, which spoke about Torah, right? So too Yehi Beitcha Beit Vad L'Chachamim, that's also Chesed. That Mishnah as a whole is dealing with Torah, but there's a certain midah of Chesed within the idea of Torah. So that's how he explains it. So here right now we're dealing with Chesed. What does Chesed look like? So the Yein Levanon asks a question, and he says, there are many Afarshim who explain this as specific acts of chesed. Namely, a person's house should be open to all four directions, that's Rashi, and there should be many types of chesed that emerge from one's house. For example, the Abarbanel says that a person should be lending money, he should lend his tools or utensils to others, he should host orchim, right? He should give food to hungry people. There's all these different acts of chesed. But the Yein Levanon says that's not the pshat. That doesn't seem to be what this mission is talking about. This mission is talking as a klal, as a general matter. Those are all specifics, but what's the klal? What's the general principle here that we're meant to take out of this mishnah? So what does he say? Ve'omerani shetafas melitzah akolelet kol minei ginot chasadim sheben adam lechavero. Right, that word is it includes all different types of acts of ginot chasadim. Kimilat revacha neged milat tzara umtzuka. So what is this revacha? What does that mean? It means relief from trouble, from difficulty, from constriction. What's the opposite? And he actually quotes a pasuk from Tehillim. He says, "Mein hametzar karatika aneni b'merchavka." Right. So I'm calling out from this constriction, from metzar, and then respond to you with merchav. Rachav says the Yein Levanon that's wide. You're giving space to the person, and so he says similarly this idea of revach is like rachav. Revach is internal space. Now what does that mean? It means giving relief. That's what Yehi beitcha patuch le'revacha means. Your house should be open for relief. Now he actually fleshes this out and proves it from a number of different psukim across Tanakh. In fact, both in Torah and Ketuvim and the Nevi'im and the Ketuvim. He starts with Shmuel 16:23. If you want to look it up inside, Shmuel Aleph, chapter 16, verse 23. He's speaking about Shaul HaMelech. V'haya b'yod ruach Elohim el Shaul v'lakach David et hakinor v'nagan biyado. Right. Whenever the evil spirit of God came upon Shaul, that's the Radak's perush, David would take the lyre and play it. And what would happen? V'ravach leShaul v'tov lo. Shaul would find relief, and he'd feel better, and the evil spirit would leave him. And then Megillat Esther, chapter 4, verse 14, when Mordechai is confronting Esther and saying, now is the time to act, you need to do something, what does he say? Revach v'hatzala yamod lihudim b'makom acher. They'll have relief and salvation for the Jews from another place. With regards to Paro, right, after Makat Tzfardea, once the Tzfardea leaves, Vayar Paro ki hayta harvacha. There you go, harvacha. Instead of revach, there's relief. There's release from that internal pressure. Now, how does that help us? So says the Yein Levanon, Klomar, kol ish matzuk ve'kol shakua betzara yimtza beitcha patuach likanes bo v'limtoch harvacha letzarato. Anyone who's dealing with a difficulty, who's dealing with some sense of pressure and difficulty, he should find your house open to come in and to find relief for his difficulty. And within this, now you can start going to all the specifics. Person's hungry or thirsty, they should be able to come to your house to be fed and get drink. They're naked or they don't have the proper clothing, give them clothing. Someone's being pursued by a creditor, lend him money. And he goes on and on. A person who needs a good word, a recommendation, provided. You're there to help, to give revach to people who need you. The scope of it is unlimited. People should find revach in our homes. And that's quite a chiddush. And finally, interestingly, he actually gives a qualification. He says, you can't really be there for everyone. As a factual matter, he says even kings who have many, many resources can't help everyone. You can't grant relief for everyone's ills. And he says, just as there's a limit for tzedakah, right, assuming a person has a normal salary, then it's 20%, right, so too there's a limit for gemilut chasadim. And that's why he says, that's why it doesn't say a person should do revacha, a person should grant everyone relief. It doesn't say that, it's impossible, you can't do that, you can't give relief to everybody. Your house should be open lerevacha. Klomar, dalte beitcha yu ptuchim. The doors of your house should be open. ותיתן רשות לכל איש מר נפש ולכל איש יודע נגע לבבו לבוא לביתך לבקש הרווחה מצרתו. ואם יש בכוחך לעשות, עשה. That means your house should be open. Anybody who's having difficulty should be able to come to your house. They should know about that. They should come to seek relief from their ills. And if you have the ability, then do it. And then he says, ואף על פי שאין בכוחך להרוויחו רווחה גמורה, and he's saying like, look, if you, as a factual matter, just you've surpassed the amount of tzedakah you can give, or you just don't have the capacity to give them the full ravacha, it shouldn't be evil in your eyes. It shouldn't be like lessened in your eyes to at least hear his grief, and then to try to appease him, try to calm him down, do something for him. You should tell him you should empathize with him. You should say, like I feel your pain, I feel your difficulty. Right? And then you should give him good advice, help him, just do something for him. You should, even though you don't necessarily need to give him money or all the time in the world, but you could do something, hear him out, at least empathize, be a person, listen to him. At least he'll have a bit of revach, he'll have a bit of relief, a little bit of ease from his pain, from his burden. And if you do this, then you're called a chassid. Now, what does he say? But if your house is not open for this ravacha, even though you do a little bit of chesed, you give some money here, you do an act of chesed there, you still haven't like really come to the full midat chesed, the full act of loving kindness for somebody else. That's what we're looking for. Amazing chidushim from the Yein Levanon. Really, real pleasure. And we'll see you in a few weeks' time. Shabbat shalom, and take care.